What's up YouTube, Capital G here, looking at a lot of new cards that were revealed in the July edition of the V-Jump, most notably cards from Invasion of Venom. If you don't know what that is the newest booster set that comes after the Dark Illusion. They're going back to, like the anime focused booster sets. Not to say that, Dark Illusion and Shining Victories weren't, but they were kind of focused around Blue Eyes and Dark Magician because of the movie and Kaiba and Yugi and all that good stuff. But, Star Venom Dragon, it's a card that a lot of people have been waiting for, and it's most notably played by this evil bastard right here. This is Yuri. If you couldn't tell because of the pink eyebrows and whatnot, he's from the Fusion Dimension. He's a bad guy on the anime. I'm finally catching up, 20 episodes behind, but I'm not that far behind. Anyways, let's see what Star Venom Fusion Dragon does. Level 8 Dark Dragon. Okay. It's a fusion because he's from the Fusion Dimension, so it makes sense. 2800 attack, 2000 defense. It requires 2 non-token dark monsters on the field. It's unfortunate that you can't summon it by using things in your hand, so polymerization is but you can actually summon this in zombies, and that's how I plan on doing it, because in a deck like zombies, you can play Dragon's Mirror, which I do, to summon Dragon Necro, so why not play it to summon this guy too? Like, there's a chance that you could have a Goblin Zombie and a Zombie Master out on the field at the same time, so seems pretty easy to summon in that deck anyways. Or you could just summon it in Predator Plants like they want you to. Alright, if this card is fusion summoned, you can have this card gain attack equal to the current attack of one special summon monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. Effect number 2 kind of goes hand in hand with that. Once per turn, you can target one level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls. Until the end of this turn, this card's name and, this card's name becomes the same as that monster's, and replace this card's effect with that monster's effect. So let's just put this in the context of Ignister. Let's say your opponent had Ignister on the field. You summon this, and Star Venom Fusion Dragon would not only gain 2850 because that's Ignister's attack, but then you could actually copy Ignister's name and effect. Its name is irrelevant, but copying its effect could be devastating. You spin one of your opponents, you spin their Ignister and you blow up one of their pendulum scales at the same time. That's pretty legitimate. Effect number 3, if this fusion summon monster is destroyed, you can destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls. So it's kind of like a Fossil Dyna, but the flip effect of Fossil Dyna. Alright, Predator Plants. Predator Plant Skid Dracera. Level 2 Dark Plants. All Predator Plants are dark, and they're all plants, by the way. It's 800 attack, 400 defense. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one face-up monster you control. This turn, it can attack each monster your opponent controls with Predator counters. I'm pretty sure that he used this with Star Venom Fusion Dragon. That just seems very anime-ish, to be honest. Effect number 2, if this face-up card leaves the field, place one Predator counter on each special summon monster your opponent controls. A level 2 or higher monster with a Predator counter becomes level 1. The third monster kind of explains why that's important. Predator Plant Moray Nepenthes. This is a level 4 Dark Plant. Okay, 1600, 1000 stat line. This card gains 200 attack for each Predator counter on the field. So as your opponent racks up more Predator counters, you'll just keep on getting more attack. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can equip the destroyed monster to this card. That's important because of effect number 3. Once per turn, you can target one monster, equip to this card by this card's effect. You destroy it, and if you do, you gain life points equal to that monster's original attack. So that's really, really powerful because in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's not enough ways to gain life points, and with Upstart Goblin's limitation, there's even less ways for people to commonly gain life points. And then there's Predator Plant Fly Hell. It's not going to be called Fly Hell in the TCG. You guys know that. This is a Dark Plant level 2, 400 attack, 800 defense. It's basically the reverse of this guy. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Place a Predator counter on it. Level 2 or higher monsters with Predator counters become level 1, of course. And at the start of the damage step, if this card battles a monster with level that is lower or equal to this card's level, you can destroy that monster, then increase this card's attack by, increase this card's level by the level of the destroyed monster. So if your opponent, once again, had Ignister on the field, you could summon Fly Hell, you give it a Predator counter, Ignister would become level 1, you would ram into Ignister, would get blown up because it has a lower level than this guy, and then you would gain 8 levels. And also that gaining of levels is not optional, it just says then. So you don't get to choose whether you do it or not, you have to do it. All right, next up we got Dark Requiem Exceed Dragon. This has to be Yuto's second form of Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon. People were telling me that there was a new version. This has to be that card because, this isn't even my final form, bro. This is a rank 5 Dark Dragon. Xyz, of course, because Yuto is from the Xyz dimension. 3,000 attack, 2,500, requires 3 level 5s. As soon as I saw that, I was like, there has to be another way to summon this motherfucker. They're not going to make us play 3. Like, Phantom Knights don't even really, they don't play level 5 monsters. There has to be another way of summoning this. If this card has Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon as Xyz material, it gains the following effects. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes 0, and if it does, you gain the attack of the monster. Or yeah, you gain the original attack of that monster. So it's basically like a better version of Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon, because instead of cutting the monster in half and gaining half the attack, you just fucking take it to 0 and you gain all the attack. And then the second part of that effect is during the player's turn, when an opponent's monster effect activates, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, negate the activation. If you do, destroy it. Here's the crazy part. Then special summon 1 Xyz monster from your graveyard. So if you already have Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon as material, couldn't you just detach the Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon, negate one of your opponent's monster effects, and then summon the Dark Rebellion? That seems kind of like nuts. That seems kind of powerful, man. This is the way that you summon Dark Requiem Exceed Dragon. This is rank up magic, the Phantom Knights of launch. So again, Phantom Knights are what Yuto play in the anime, if you don't know. Quick play spell card. During either player's main phase, target 1 Dark Xyz monster that has no Xyz materials that you control. Special summon 1 Dark Xyz monster from your extra deck that is 1 rank higher than the targeted monster. By using the targeted monster as Xyz material, this is treated as a Xyz summon. If you do, attach this card as Xyz material. So what you could do is you could bring out Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon. You could activate the effect, cut one of your opponent's monsters in half, then rank him up into Requiem Dragon, and you'd get 2 materials. You'd get the Dark Rebellion Xyz as a material, and you would also get Phantom Launch as a material as well. Effect number 2, during your main phase, you can banish this card from the graveyard, then target 1 Dark Xyz monster you control, attach the Phantom Knight's monster from your hand to that monster as Xyz material. This effect is okay. It's kind of like icing on the cake. I mean, I think you'll use it, but it's just okay. Like I might want to use those monsters for other Xyzs rather than Xyz materials, but I guess it just depends on the situation. It's nice to have the option. I'll give it that. Next up, we have some Ciphers. I believe that these are played by Kaito from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeal, so they have to be Xyz based. Cipher Mirror Knight. Level 4 warrior lights. They're all lights, by the way, too. They're different attributes, they're different types, but they're lights. 0/0, you can only use the 2 effect once per turn. When a Cipher monster or kinetic soldier you control is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard, discard this card. Send 1 monster or send 1 card you control or have in your hand to the graveyard. If you do, special summon the destroyed monster. Do I really want to spend all of that just to get like a destroyed monster back? I don't know. Effect number 2, during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add 1 Cipher card or kinetic soldier from your deck to your hand. Okay, well, that kind of pays up. That kind of pays for the huge negs that you take. I mean, essentially, this guy pays for himself, so seems pretty decent. Next up, there's Cipher Twin Raptor, level 4 light machine, 1600, 800 stat line. You can only use the 2 effect once per turn. If your opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, while you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. Effect number 2, you can discard 1 card, special summon 1 Cipher monster or kinetic soldier from your hand or deck. You cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except Cipher monsters or kinetic soldier. Okay, so I just need more cards for the Ciphers before I can kind of interpret how good these are. We have Amazing Pendulum. Normal spell card, you can only activate 1 Amazing Pendulum per turn. If you control no cards in your Pendulum zones, you can add 2 face-up Magician Pendulum monsters with different names from your extra deck to your hand. Man, I thought this would have been better if this was like from your deck to your hand. Magicians need all the support they can get, dude. Freaking Wisdom Eye went to 1, dude. They need all the support that they can get. Yeah, this seems highly situational. We have Cardian, Ino Shikacho. Dude, if that's not a Naruto reference, I don't know what is. Ino, Shikamaru, Choji. They even call their team name Ika Shikacho. Okay, or Ino Shikacho. I'm sure in Japan that means something historically, but when I see those words put together like that, I just think Naruto. This is a level 6 Dark Synchro effect monster, 2000. It's also generic, requires 1 tuner plus 2 non-tuner monsters. Oh, you have to use 3 monsters. Oh, that's cool because Cardians, a lot of them, I mean, they've got ways of becoming like level 2, so it's not a big deal. If a Cardian monster you control attacks a defense position monster, you do piercing damage to your opponent. Effect number 2, you can banish 1 Cardian monster from your graveyard until the end of your opponent's next turn. Your opponent cannot activate effects in the graveyard and cannot special summon from the graveyard. Dude, this is like fucking death to Burning Abyss. Like really, Seer, Graph, Skarm, Dante, Virgil, they all activate in the graveyard. Like if your opponent can't use any graveyard effects and they can't special from the graveyard, they can't use Seer, like that is straight up death. Phoenix Rhino Warrior, like wow. Rest in Pepperoni's Burning Abyss. If you happen to play against Cardians, you just get locked out of a turn. Seriously, if they have any back row. Then there's 2 cards right here. These are the 2 pictures. There's Cho Kai Koi. I think that's how you pronounce that. It's a normal spell card. It says you can only activate 1 per turn. Excavate the top 3 cards of your deck. Then special summon as many Cardian monsters among there as possible, ignoring their summoning conditions, but their effects are negated and their level becomes 2. See, that's how you make this one. Banish any other cards face down. If they are banished, or excuse me, if any are banished, you lose 1,000 life points for each. Dude, this is how, excuse me, this is how he used this card during, I forget what his name is. His name was Enjoy Something. When he dueled against Yuya in prison, he used this card. It was so fucking lucksacky. Like, because he hit all Cardians too. And I think that's how he ended up going into Amaterasu. I remember it like it was yesterday. Effect number 2. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then tribute 1 monster, special summon 1 Cardian monster from your hand, ignoring its special or its summoning conditions. Okay, so effect number 1 and 2 kind of go hand in hand. Also, the fact that you can use this in the same turn that it hits the graveyard is kind of nice. And then we have Hanazumi or Hanazumi. It's a normal spell card. It says you can only use the 2 effect once per turn. Choose 3 Cardian monsters from your deck, place them on top of your deck in any order. Okay, so that's obviously how you stack your deck for this. He didn't do that on the show. He just got lucky. Like, he didn't even use these 2 cards in conjunction. He was just, heart of the fucking cards, ended up ripping 3 Cardians. Effect number 2, during your main phase, except the turn that this card was sent to the graveyard. See, this one doesn't have that in it. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 Cardian monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So this card, not only does it let you stack your deck for this one, but then it pays for itself just not during the turn that it was sent there. You just have to wait. Now, next up, there's no cheaters allowed. Oh, man. It's like they designed the card to counter my live stream. I do remember this card from the anime, too, because it has the Dark Bribe guy on it. And I was like, oh, Dark Bribe guy. Continuous trap. It says once per turn, when your opponent special summons a monster or monsters from the hand, you can return all monsters on the field that were special summoned from the hand to the hand. Yeah, he used this against Yuya's Pendulum. Yuya kept pendulum summoning from the hand, and he was just like, dog. Send them cards right back to your hand. Do you know if this was a generic floodgate, how hard that this would shit on rituals? Like, anytime you ritual summon them, they would just go right back to your hand. Like, ritual summoning would just, like, this would be the hardest counter ever to your deck. I guess, like, even harder than lose 1 turn. If there's not a face-up Cardian monster, send this card to the graveyard. So, yeah, I think he ended up losing this because he didn't have a Cardian monster on the field. So, this card, it should have just been, dude, it shouldn't have effect 2. It should just be a generic floodgate. That would be so good because I would totally play it. Duels Pack 17. I can't read this card because I don't, like, they didn't translate this well, or there's like, here, I'll try and read it. Target 1 machine type or rock monster that you cannot normal summon / set. See, it's gibberish. I can't read that shit, so I'm skipping it. Like, I don't know who does the editing for YG Organization, but obviously that didn't get edited. Magnet Force, normal trap. During this turn, monsters on the field whose original type is either machine or rock are unaffected by monster effects except their own. Okay. I guess it's okay for just field protection against, I'd rather, it'd be better if it was like spell or trap stuff, to be honest. Lullaby of Obedience. This card is like kind of weird. It's a normal spell card. Pay 2,000 life points, then declare one monster name. Your opponent looks through their deck, and if the declared monster is in there, they must reveal it. They must reveal one of them and then choose one of the effects. It says you, the opponent of this card's activator, add that card to your opponent's hand, or special summon that monster to your opponent's field, ignoring its summoning conditions. So let me put it in context. If I activate this card and you're playing Sertella Knight, right? I call Sertella Knight Deneb. You look through your deck and find a copy of Deneb if you have any. If you have a Deneb, which I don't like, this is just so much cheating. Like, no, I don't play Deneb in my Teller Knights, man. I don't even have that. You have to reveal the Deneb to me, and then you get to choose whether you want to add that Deneb to my hand, or whether you want to special summon that Deneb on my side of the field, ignoring its conditions, its summoning conditions. So I can get like tribute monsters and all types of stuff. It's just weird because I have to I kind of have to know what you're playing. Like, and obviously if can I activate this card going first? Like, I would have to how would I know what the hell you're playing? Unless I just knew you and this was locals or something like that. Oh, you're playing Burning Abyss? Call out Graph, you know what I mean? Next up, we have Tribute Burial. It says once for the rest of the turn, if you tribute summon / set a monster that requires 2 tributes, you can banish one monster from each graveyard to tribute summon, to tribute summon. Okay, they put a G on here for some reason. That monster instead. Also, you can add special summon monsters for the rest of the turn. Maybe a Monarchs, because Monarchs runs, they run, like the level 8 Monarchs, the Mega Monarchs, but I don't know. Monarchs already have a way to make those 8s level 6s in Domain. Plus, they have Stormforth and Prime, so I don't really know if you need this. If you wanted to run DMOC in a high tribute deck, though, go for it. You know what I mean? It's better than having to use real monsters on the field. And then we've got Silent Magician Kovac. This card is really good. Silent Swordsman and Silent Magician, both of these recently released cards are they're both really, really good. It's a level 4 light spellcaster, 1000 attack, 1000 defense, just like the Swordsman. Cannot be normal summon / set, must be special summon from your hand by tributing one spellcaster monster, and cannot be special summoned by any other ways. So, it's a lot of spellcasters out there that are good. Hint, hint, Performa Pals. This card gains 500 attack for each card in your hand. Once per turn, during the player's turn, when a spell is activated, you can negate that activation. Effect number 3, if this card on the field is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, or by battle, you can special summon one Silent Magician monster, except itself, from your hand or deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. These new Silent cards seem incredibly powerful. Like, I like the fact that you can rotor for Silent Swordsman, but this one seems really good too. I think this one's a girl though. And then we have Silent Burning to go along with the Silent Magician Kovac. It says it's a quick play. During the battle phase, if you control a Silent Magician monster and you have more cards in your hand than your opponent, both players draw until they have 6 cards in their hand. I don't know about that. The activation of this card and the effect cannot be negated. Okay, that's kind of dangerous, because like if my opponent has 0 cards and I have 1 card in my hand, basically, I can activate this from the field, and then like we would both draw 6. We both draw until we have 6 cards, and this card attack would go up by 3,000. So that seems really dangerous. Or it would go, it would go up to up by 3,000 to become 4,000. So essentially, I'd have a 4,000 monster that can negate spell cards during the player's turn. Effect number 2, you can banish this card from the graveyard, add one Silent Magician monster from your deck to your hand. So actually, you could use effect 1, you could give yourself 6 cards, and then you could just banish it and give yourself a 7th card, which is like, what? Because it doesn't even, it can be used the same turn that it enters the graveyard. That's kind of weird, but a lot of cards to discuss, guys. Let me know what you guys think of these cards. Thank you guys for watching, as always.